How's everybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Metroid for the NES. Last time, we more or less got all of the upgrades we needed to get within Brinstar, and today we're heading to Kraid's Lair to tackle one of the two mini-bosses we need before we can take down the Mother Brain. So, I forgot about this energy tank up here, and it's kind of funny when I think about it, really, because Super Metroid actually had this energy tank here in the exact same location. Kind of a nice little callback, if I do say so myself. And the reason I'm here is because there's a... Yeah, okay, so if you shoot that up there, there's an energy tank. And before somebody asks, no, we don't have wall jumping, and neither do we have a space jump to actually reach the damn thing. So what we have to do is very awkwardly freeze one of these enemies here. And then we can, like, use them as a stepping stone to get the upgrade to begin with, so... So yeah, there was actually one energy tank I think the strategy guide actually left out. That's not the first time a strategy guide has done that to me, by the way. I just happen to remember something like that, if only because of Super Metroid. Because there was an issue of Nintendo Power that they had where they uncovered like the details of Metroid 2's like different paths, like it had maps and everything, and also like expansion locations. But because it's the 1990s or whatever, they actually forgot to put in like 4 of the expansions that they missed. Like, so they missed out on like 4 missile expansions entirely, and it wasn't until I actually started using the internet on a consistent basis that I figured out where those other 4 missile expansions were. It's like, goddamn. Can you imagine how it must be trying to write a strategy guide with nothing to go on but your own instincts, and you have to like figure out everything for yourself without the internet? Magazine editors had it rough, man. Like that shit like requires like love to a T. Like your passion just has to be there. Like, screw video game reviews. Like, strategy guides just have to be like the hardest thing to write, because like people can sue you or like disregard you in an instant if you forget like one expansion that maybe this other guide had detailed but yours didn't, you know? And anywho, looking at the strategy guide here, we have 4 missile tanks and an energy tank to get. And I don't know if I'm going to be going for 100% in this game, honestly, as far as the missile expansions go. I know I really need missiles in particular for the final level and just the bosses in general. But the thing about the bosses in this game that no other Metroid game does is that whenever you beat a boss, you actually get like 70 additional missiles to like your total maximum count, which really helps out in the long run, actually. So I'm looking here, and wow, there's like, okay, so there's like 4 or 5 different hallways in this direction, right? But they all lead nowhere. Like, what the heck? Yeah, Kraid's Lair in particular just has a lot of rooms that lead to nothing. It's more or less just trying to find the boss himself than anything, because all you're really missing out on is just a small handful of expansions. And most of the expansions you're going to be finding in this game are in Norfair anyway, so it's like, what's the point? Like, if you're actually going for, like, missiles for necessity's sake. I'm glad I haven't died yet, because it's very possible to die to a lot of the bullshit enemy placement in this game. Because what's really annoying about Metroid 1 in particular is that if you happen to get a game over, unlike other Metroid games where you save and you just start with the energy you had going into the save station, if you go and start the game over again, you start with only 30 energy without like the energy tanks in. That can be rough, especially for levels like this. That's why I recommend stacking up on all the the energy tanks you can, because starting over in a place like this with barely any energy to go off of when it comes to like how crazy the enemies can get in this level can be a pretty huge nuisance. But yeah, there's not any like special achievement or reward for getting all of the expansions. I mean, it's a goddamn NES game. What did you expect? A special ending? I mean, to be fair, Metroid 2 and Super Metroid didn't do that either. In fact, it wasn't even until Fusion and Prime 1, actually, that they started giving you achievements for getting all of the expansions and missile tanks and what have you. Kind of crazy to think about, really. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention. Another annoying thing about those enemies in particular, the ones that come out of the lava. Don't go into a door while they're flying at you, because in Metroid 1 and Metroid 1 only, if you go into a hatch and you have an enemy on your tail, you're gonna get hurt during the screen transition, and you can't do anything about this. And it's even worse if you have, like, say, a zoomer in there with you, and then you open the door, and then, like, as you're transitioning, you're just stuck in there getting hit by the enemy over and over again before the door on the other side actually opens. And oh, believe me, I have actually lost games to that, because I wasn't aware of that at the time. Because I had played, I'm trying to think here. I think I played, I'm pretty sure I played Fusion and Prime. Well, duh, I played Fusion before this. Fusion was my first Metroid game. I played Fusion and Prime 1 and... No, I think that was about it. I played Prime 1 and Fusion before this. And then when I figured out about the Game Link bonus, I basically took it upon myself to, like, play Metroid through this. And I know I could be playing this on the Virtual Console where I have a better aspect ratio and blah 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 blah. Shut up. I'm on a budget, damn it. Like, I know I can get all these, like, different versions of the game, and I already have another version of this on Zero Mission, technically speaking, but, like, why? Why would I go out of my way to get, like, multiple versions of a game that I don't even, like, enjoy too much to begin with? Especially when I already have, like, the NES copy of this game, too. In fact, come to think of it, I didn't even get the NES print of this game until, like, 4 years ago, I think. That game was a bitch to track down, and thankfully that paid off, because as I had mentioned in, like, one of my previous videos, if anybody actually watches those, I'm a bit of a game collector in general, and what route did I take? What the hell? Yeah, it's official. I don't know where I'm going. I collect a bunch of video games, both old and new. I mean, hell, I have like 20 NES games alone. And the copy of Metroid I happened to get, and I might even post a picture of this in like post-editing, was actually a pretty interesting copy, actually. It's one where the print itself is yellow, and it's got like the artwork over from Metroid 2 where they're kneeling down holding the arm cannon. And I haven't really seen many copies like that before. I'm assuming those had to have been printed around like 1990 or so, when they were making like the gray cartridge versions of Zelda 1. Because like the original prints of Zelda 1 were actually the gold cartridges. And like, I don't know, I wonder how much money that actually goes for, really. I mean, that's gotta be rare, right? Somebody in the comments, please answer that question. Okay, so I'm not going in the direction of Kraid right now, technically, but again, I'm going for the missile tanks. I could use all of the missile tanks going up against Kraid. And while the Ice Beam really helps out a lot in the fight, because it actually freezes his projectiles and keeps them from firing anymore. Guess, goddamn, I really am underselling the Ice Beam in this game, aren't I? But like, yeah, the Ice Beam in particular against Kraid is really useful because he has like so many projectiles going out at once. And because of like NES screen limitations, when you freeze some of his projectiles on screen, yeah, you can actually freeze his projectiles. That's kind of weird, but okay. But yeah, if you freeze his projectiles, it actually keeps them from spawning for a good bit of time before he actually like starts firing them again once it unfreezes, and that's pretty cool. What the heck? Oh, well. Can I actually get on them? Oh, you know what? I think that's why this thing's here. You don't want to fall through that acid, though. I screwed that up pretty hard. I'm trying not to fall into that acid because it actually takes me down to a room below because it's actually fake acid. It's kind of awkward how they hide it too. Like it looks like acid from the bottom and then it just kind of abruptly ends. Like it's a background element, like from below. Oh wow, I can't actually reach that, can I? Can I? Let's find out. Let's find out the hard way. Now that being said, you don't actually have to get all of the expansions, especially the energy tanks. Oh, motherfucker. Especially the energy tanks, because there's actually like 7 energy tanks in this whole game, I believe. And, you know, I don't even need that missile, what am I saying? There's actually 7 energy tanks, but like you can only carry up to 6, so when you get the 7th one, it just fills up all of your energy tanks. Energy, you know? And I'm kind of wondering if that's the same case with the missiles too, because like again, you get 70 missiles from the bosses alone. So that only leaves you with like very few missile expansions you actually have to find before you cap out at 255. So yeah, all the more reason to not go for perfect 100%, I guess you could say. So yeah, in a way, the game doesn't really encourage it. Metroid 2 kind of doesn't either, because it has an extra energy tank in that game as well, but it didn't really do the same thing with the missiles as I had just mentioned earlier. So you are kind of encouraged to get all the missiles in that game. And man, I am just tanking hits like a motherfucker today. I just don't give a shit about anything I'm getting hit by, apparently. Alright, so we're pretty much going to go ahead and head over to Kraid right now. Or not? Where the heck am I? Jesus. All these rooms look exactly the same. Okay, so I think we're done bullshitting around. I think we got more than enough missiles. We're gonna go ahead and fight Kraid right about now. Oh jeez, I wanted that energy, and Samus just kind of fades right through it for some reason. I wonder if her hitboxes actually kind of like mess up or something if she's bombing herself with a Morph Ball bomb. The programming in this game is so funky, I swear. Oh Jesus. Did I like despawn a Ripper off screen? I probably did. Let's find out. Oh yeah, that's something I should mention about the Rippers. Okay, for some reason there's like 2 different kinds of Rippers, but like the yellow ones are impervious to just about anything, and then the red ones can only be killed with missiles. And I bring this up because, you know how I mentioned with the Ice Beam, like if you shoot an enemy over and over again, they freeze and unfreeze? But the yellow ones, they don't really do that, actually. They just kind of stay frozen and stay there regardless of how many times you hit them with an Ice Beam, which kind of leads me to believe that they were designed specifically for the Ice Beam in particular. The red ones were designed to be annoying little dicks, but yeah. Pay attention to the color of the rippers, because if you don't, well, you're gonna find yourself into you're gonna find yourself in a situation where you just freeze and unfreeze them again, and it makes trying to traverse through them kind of a pain in the ass, and yeah. Oh god, the slowdown! The slowdown! Make it stop! I want that. I'm gonna have to grind on energy soon. Energy, like, capsules or power-ups, whatever you want to call them, come in really sparse supply in this game. Like, you basically only have, like, 2 variants. You only have the ones that give you, like, 5 energy points, and then you have the ones that give you, like, 20. But, like, the thing is, the sprite for them looks exactly the same, right? And the big ones only spawn whenever you beat, like, big enemies. But even that's kind of an RNG, like, factor, really. So grinding energy in this game can certainly take a while if you ever get yourself into that position, because this is before Metroid 2. We didn't have what's it, the missile batteries or the recharge stations or what have you. You had to go through it like a man, damn it. And I'm going in this direction right here because there's one more missile tank I'd like to have before fighting Kraid. And it's looking like I'm going to have to grind energy here soon, because I am getting hit way too much. Okay. Alright. That should just about do it. I probably should have grabbed the energy tank last, if now that I think about it, because it would have really helped when I was backtracking through the whole area, just to end up back here to finally get down to fighting Kraid. And I would have had to grind all this energy. Frick. That being said, I can kind of see why some people wouldn't want to play the original Metroid on the Prime port version of it, because it's if you've played a game like Mega Man Anniversary Collection, they have it to where the controls are reversed, where they have the shoot button on the A button and then the jump button on the B button. And I always found that kind of weird, because like in every other Mega Man, you jump with the A button, you shoot with the B button. I guess they did that because like they figured you'd be shooting more than jumping, more likely than not. And like the A button on the game controller in particular is way bigger than the B button. Ow. So in other words, if you don't want an awkward control scheme, or at the very least, like, a port where you can't really, you know, map the controls to your liking, if you don't like the way the default scheme is awkwardly set up, I would play something like the GBA version of Metroid, where you have it on Zero Mission, and I think the controls are a bit more faithful. I think it has a better save feature on that too, but don't quote me on that. I could be totally wrong. And oh boy, it's looking like I'm gonna have to grind. So in the next part, we're gonna be fighting Kraid and moving on to North here. So thank you guys for watching, and see you guys then.